Viksit Bharat, Unshackling Job Creators and Empowering Growth Drivers. This paper presents a vision of a developed India in 2050. Two objectives drive this vision. One is fast catch up growth that closes the gap with countries which were at the same stage of development as India in the 1960s and 70s but have moved ahead but since then. And understanding and utilization of global and domestic trends is critical to fast growth, which can be used by the Indian government and its people to leapfrog up to a better life. The second is equality of opportunity for every citizen based on personal motivation and inherent capabilities. Equal access to quality education, skills, public goods, social and governance services is critical to both these objectives. Provision of social services to 1.6 billion Indians at the quality available to 1.4 billion citizens of developed countries is only possible in 30 years through comprehensive use of digital systems like e-commerce, e-learning, telemedicine, and artificial intelligence. AI-driven expert systems like e-Kautilya, e-Chanakya, e-Manu will drive transformation in governance. Expert systems like e-Acharya, e-Guru, e-Ved will drive transformation in education, skilling, and health services. We envision a hybrid phygital architecture which marries India's vast human resources to a pervasive digital infrastructure to accelerate structural transformation and inclusive growth. Government will ensure that provision of hard and soft Government will ensure the provision of hard and soft infrastructure to every habitation in India, develop a policy structure that creates competitive markets in which private entrepreneurs can innovate and thrive, and welfare system that protects the weak and vulnerable, giving ample scope for civil society to provide a multiplicity of non-marketable services. Proposed policy and institutional reforms aim to unshackle job creators and empower growth drivers. The first chapter is introduction, second is equality of opportunity, global trends in demography, digitization, climate change, globalization, deglobalization, de-risking, comparative advantage. Fourth chapter is economy, growth and structure. Fifth, herein Indian economy, India and world economy, connectivity and trade, global supply chain, international finance. Structural transformation, quality chains, agricultural and rural labor, infrastructure, manufacturing and services. Knowledge economy, empowering growth drivers, education, digital teacher, e-acharya, employment and job skills, labor force workers and unemployment, wage growth, rural employment and wages, youth employment and job search, availability of educated labor force, knowledge stack, governance and public welfare, government stack, poverty and distribution, welfare stack, public health, digital doctor EVAD, community and social stock, digital economy, expert system AI, digital regulation, skills exchange, UFI, FinStack, FinInternet, digital market interface or market stack, green economy, transport, energy, urbanization, housing, circular economy, recycling, environmental regulation, and green stack. India is a civilizational power, defense and deterrence, bipolar world with multipolar rim, tripolar world with multipolar rim, diplomacy, civilizational state, policy vision, unshackling job creators, controls, regulations and regulators, digital taxman, e-Kautilya, capital markets, supply chain revolution, education and skilling, urban development, land and real estate, agriculture and rural, and transportation and energy and criminal justice system. Summary and conclusion and references. Hence, India is a democratic market economy which has a population equal to the total population of 78 Western democracies, with 28 states and 8 union territories, 23 official languages, and 456 living languages. It is far more diverse than European Union with 28 countries and 24 official languages. In contrast to these countries which are upper middle income or high income countries, India is still a lower middle income country. India's population has recently overtaken China as the combination of large population and relatively low middle income makes India the fifth largest economy in the world. The key to India's future is development and exploitation of our comparative advantage to become upper middle income country in a decade and high income country in 25 years. The economic reforms underway and the economic and institutional reforms on the agenda for the next few years will sustain growth per capita GDP at 7% during the decade of 2020s to make India the third largest economy in the world in a few years. The challenge is to broaden and deepen these reforms to transform the quality of our human resources, to take advantage of new trends in global polity and economy so that fast growth is sustained for the 3 decades. Section 2 lays out vision of equality which is the foundation of fast inclusive growth in a free open plural democracy. Section 3 examines the demographic digitization, decarbonization and deglobalization trends which will determine India's global comparative advantage over the next decade. Section 4 takes stock of macroeconomic including demand pattern and structural features of the Indian economy and envisions its potential evolution over the next few decades. Section 5 examines the critical issues related to actualization of demographic dividend and creation of a knowledge economy. This section analyzes the issues of education and employment from a perspective of market demand for and market supply of skills. The latter includes the issue of search employment. Giving the limited data availability, it links changes in growth of employment and real wages to relative growth of demand and supply of specific types of labor. Section 6 focuses on governance and its critical role in furthering public welfare. It starts with a data based analysis of poverty and distribution, followed by health and public health issues. A cross country comparison of health parameters, including child malnutrition, sets a stage for RAND policy and state government effort. The quality of governance is critical to macroeconomic environment as well as supply of government services. This section proposes digitization of laws, rules and procedures and decisions of the government to prepare the ground for use of AI expert systems to transform governance systems, procedures and routine decisions. It also examines the possibility of using AI expert systems to raise the quality of social service, education, skilling, and health to the disadvantaged. Section 7 dwells into hybrid digital physical systems that are critical to translating the vision into a reality. Section 8 provides sketch of key elements of green economy and India's holistic approach to carbon control. Section 9 provides geopolitical vision for India in the world of 2050. Section 10 presents a policy vision of reforms needed to accelerate and sustain fast growth in the 11 decades. India's constitution is based on the philosophy that all citizens are equal under the constitution, under the laws enacted under its umbrella, and governance administrative institutions which implement these laws. The original vision, as best explained by Ambedkar, was that India would become reasonably equal in few decades. Failure to achieve these hopes has made it necessary extend extra constitutional measures decade after decade. Further, the administrative reality of how the constitution and laws are implemented remains too far from the vision. We envision an India in 2050 in which the original vision of human equality embroiled in the fundamental structure of the Constitution is restored. The laws reflect the fundamental right to equality and governance institutions are reformed to reduce the gap between laws and their implementation. We envision the jungle of economic laws, rules, regulation, and controls introduced in the first 3 decades of independence will become a distant memory. Indian society is less socially equal today than the framers of the Constitution envisaged or imagined it would be 75 years after its promulgation. Reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, which was made for 10 years with the expectation that it would be enough to eliminate handicaps and restore equality, has been extended for 70 years with limited success. Besides official measures, part of the success in reducing inherited discrimination is attributed to the facelessness of market economy and anonymity of urban life. The founders could never have envisaged that instead of reservation being eliminated in few decades after independence, it would be extended further to the OBCs after 40 years, with further demands for expansion after rising after 60 years. Political discourse and contestation have also hampered the elimination of discrimination based on religion by each religious group. We envisage an India in 2050 where residual discrimination is reduced to or below the level prevailing in other large plural democracies like USA. India was one of the first democracies to enshrine full gender equality in the constitution but has failed to translate into societal norms and rules. We envision an India in which women working from villages, small towns, and urban homes provide more than half the high skilled labor force of India. We envision an India in which women's labor force participation rate is in the highest global quartile and wage differential is in the lowest global quintile. An OECD study suggests that in gender parity in labor force participation and wages can raise India's GDP by 1.5 to 2.4%. IMF estimates that equal participation of females in the country could add 16% to GDP on average across countries. The estimate for India is higher at 227% of GDP. Social mobility is an economic imperative as full use of productive potential of the population benefits not just the individual but increases the total productivity of the economy. We envision an India in which there is equality of economic opportunity for all citizens and their children independent of the class, caste, religion, or ethnic origins of the parents or gender. This requires an education system that provides basic education and job skills of highest quality to all, and skills and higher education to each according to her capabilities and talents, interest, and motivation, tempered by the need to promote public interest. Learning to learn the scientific method and ability to question assumptions buried in our psyche is an important function of good education. To the extent that humanities are designed to produce this result, they can be as valuable as STEM in promoting innovation. Education must inculcate Gandhian notions of social, civic, and national responsibility, in contrast to Stalinist Maoist notions of end justify the means. Equality of opportunity requires competitive market economy in which natural monopolies are rationally identified and professionally regulated, and the adverse effect of asymmetric information on equality of opportunity is corrected. Society has at times to create monopoly rights because it is in the public interest to do so, such as in the grant of patents or the production of major weapon systems. This must be done with due consideration of the public benefits and costs. Socio-economic equality also requires equal access to public goods of equal quality, as inequality in the provision of public goods by the government is a source of inequality. Public health and public health education are classic public goods for which government bears the full responsibility. Communicable diseases is the best example of public good, referred to as public health, and vaccination, vector control, sewage, sanitation, clean drinking water, and public education are the means of controlling it. Control of pollution, air, water, land is closely related to public health. Provision of good quality public health services is all foundational pillar of equality of opportunity. We envision an India in which health insurance covers 100% of residents for all testing and treatments including minor surgery with major surgery, chronic disease, and curable cancers covered by the government tertiary health system. We envision an India in which all have equal access to high drinking water, clean air, and unpolluted by chemicals of all kinds, where all have access to same urban facilities and environment from large metros to small towns and habitations as they do in advanced countries. We envision an India in which equality of opportunity is achieved, in fact, and is visible. The poor, the middle class, and the rich urban dweller and the rural villager are virtually indistinguishable in public works. We envision a social security system which functions seamlessly from the poorest to the richest, from those who need transfers to those who pay taxes. A net income transfer which implements the saying from each according to her capability to each according to her need without compromising the incentives for work, an honest declaration of income. A need system which ensures that every citizen is a part of it and is treated like a supplicant at one end and a potential criminal at the other, and is treated neither like a supplicant at one end, a potential criminal at the other. Being a low middle income country, there is a bridge gap between income and quality of life of average Indian citizens and those of upper middle and high income countries. We envision an India in 2050 in which the gap is closed, big gap in income between the income and quality of life of average Indian citizens. Gap is closed so that Indian metros and the people in streets, public and commercial spaces look as well as off as in any city of America, Europe, or Asia. It will be an India where NRIs and PIOs are eager to come back and settle in and to send their children to study and work in. We envision an India which is the third most powerful in the world, which neither bows its head before any country nor looks down on any country, an India which deters totalitarianism, aggressors, and provide a voice to those low income and low middle income countries in which institute in international forums and organizations. An example of the latter, India has always provided high quality foreign aid, grants, and loans to other developing countries based on their needs and requirements without trying to extract special favors and rents as others have done. As India's income and resources rises, it will be able to step up this assistance. India is currently fifth largest economy, but will be the third largest in a few years. A potential great power, part way to become a potential superpower by 2050. Sustained fast, inclusive green growth is necessary condition for this vision to be achieved. Inclusive growth generates private income for all but also generates government revenues which are critical for providing the public and quasi public goods and safety net needed to achieve this vision. So social security system from poorest to the richest in which all have equal access to high quality drinking water. Socio-economic equality also requires equal access to public goods of equal quality, as inequality in the provision of public goods by the government is a source of inequality. So that's all. See you in the next one.